G'day guys. So pretty much straight off the bat, I have completely messed up and I need to explain. You see, all these parts are 4mm. This stuff isn't the usual thickness that I deal with. I do a lot of 3mm stuff. I do fold the occasional piece of 5mm on my press here. This is kind of important. You see, this machine, as big as it is only 25 ton. That's actually, that's not a lot. This is a big machine with not as much push as you think it might have. You could be forgiven for thinking that something like this, you know, could fold just about anything. And that just really isn't the case. 25 ton is actually rather small. That's why this machine was affordable. If we have a look on the gauge here on the side, you'll see that 25 ton is the maximum it goes. Obviously you can push it a bit harder. I need to fold 4mm, which is here. 4mm, let's follow it across. Now this middle line, if we follow it up, goes to the tooling. So that's our pressure. Let's follow it down to the 4. And we have for over a metre on the 14mm die, which is ridiculous. Yeah, 54 ton. I don't think so. Let's keep going across. 42 ton, that's for a 17mm V. 34 ton, it's getting better. That's a 22mm V. This has a 22mm V. 27 ton, 28mm V, and 21 ton for a 35mm V. Now I have a 35mm V. And 21 ton is obviously within the 25 ton capacity of this machine. But this is where I've really screwed up, because I need to put a fold on this part. See that notch? That's the center of my fold. It's kind of short. I really should have picked this up in the design, but I completely missed it. So I'm going to cheat. So I'm going to start this fold in the small V and hope I don't overload it. I've already got the backstop set up. The fold is aligned and everything is not as it should be, but we're going to give it a go. Yeah, oh, by the way, this is a Vortex stove. You already know that because you've seen the thumbnail, but all these parts will become a Vortex stove. The Vortex stove is something that I came up with a long time ago now, geez, 6 years ago, I'll have to look. Brilliant stove, it worked excellent. On wood pellets. Didn't really like anything else. I couldn't get the same sort of heat out of it just running standard, you know, firewood. On wood pellets, it was crazy. You'd be used as a space heater and it could heat a 10 square meter room like no one's business, like get it uncomfortably hot. So I have no idea how much pressure I'm going to be exerting when trying to do this illegal fold. So I'm moving you over here to watch the dial for me because I can't see this when I'm out the front of the machine, and besides that I'm spending a lot more time making sure that I don't get an appendage stuck in there while it's folding, if that makes sense. So just keep an eye on that for me. Here we go. That worked. 15 ton. We are well and truly within capacity for this short fold, and that's what we did. I wasn't going for a full 90 degrees, I just wanted to sort of start the process. All right, yeah, here we go, a little bit more. See, what would have happened if I had folded it here is that this part and this part would have bridged the gap, and so it would have completely bent and destroyed that before we even got close to bending this part. That's why the correct size V just wasn't going to work, because that bridged the gap, meaning that when the pressure went down, we're actually going to fold where we wanted to. Now the question is, how much did I work hard in that material with all of those attempts of folding? And if I go straight into a full fold, is it going to go over 90, which happens sometimes. Okay, so There are two lefts and two rights. And they're basically all the same part. Just need to make sure I fold it in the correct orientation, yes, okay. I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to back that off a couple of clicks. Are we going to stall out? No, we didn't. Lovely. Okay. That is beautiful. Very consistent fold. Not bad for a second-hand press. I've seen brand new presses not fold as good as this machine. All inconsistent, in other words. You had to shim the tooling with paper underneath to get it to fold straight. Well, that's those two parts put together. That's actually going to be the hopper. The holes are for 12mm rod, which will be the burn grate. And now this is the door. And this has to fit around that, which is going to seal off this opening. That's there to give you access to the burn chamber to sort of clean it out, because fuel will inevitably it's unavoidable. It's going to end up in the burn tube, and you're going to need to clean it out. Man. Find the center of the feature, make it clear, and yes, I am just eyeballing that. That's pretty darn close. So this part is just a tiny bit shorter than the other one, so I'm going to back the fold pressure off just a tiny bit, because if I leave it where it is, it may overshoot. Only backing it off one click. I've already lined up the tooling. There is no left or right with this, so I can just the tiniest bit over. I'll just back that off a little bit more. Let's try the other side. And that did it. Perfection. So literally that was 1.5 clicks on the dial was the difference between spot on and overshooting. Probably only half a degree, but still overshooting. But now the question is, does it fit? Easy. Good. Okay. Well, I won't even bother straightening it. I got 2 of these to do, so let's do that. All right. Beautiful. Sorry, you weren't really looking in the right place. All right. Very nice. These 2 bits are the base of the burn box, and this feature lines up with there. Also helps retaining the bottom of the door. 90-degree fold. Times 2. I've backed it off a bit. Here we go. And it wasn't enough. Let's try that again. Not enough. 3 clicks. That's pretty much it there. That tiniest flex fixed that. You see, metal has a memory, and it'll always spring back a little bit easy enough. What it won't do is go forward. So if you've got to make a mistake, it's easier to repair a minute overfold, or at least with this thickness stuff it is, than not having enough. Holes line perfectly up in there. This is great. It's working. The next bit is the lid. That's a fairly ominous looking symbol, but it just happens to be a very efficient shape for letting air in and out. It's a lot better than just having circles. It just, yeah, it looks a little bit nuclear. Anyway, let's fold up the lids. Now look, you little rascal.
Hello. See that?
See ya. Oh. Remember that overloading thing? That's something that I've discovered is you can get away with a lot more right in the middle compared to off to one side, which makes sense. On one side, all the pressure's more on one cylinder. Anyway. Yes, this is the one of the baffle plates with holes for the secondary burn, and I'm shooting for 150 degrees. Yeah, nowhere near enough. Okay, good. Let's go again. A bit more. Still more. We just crept our way up to that. That's actually pretty good. Maybe a tiny bit over, but I think that's okay. Oh, nice. Okay. I don't know if you can see all those lines, but I'm going to try and press on each one of those, and we'll hopefully turn this into a nice curved part. Cool, wow. Gee, that's actually, that's pretty good. I'll mark this one out and we'll do it again. That one's even better. You know, the crazy thing is, I didn't even really follow the lines that I scribed on that. I just used those as a guide to help me keep my fold parallel. So as I was going, it was just a visual aid. Not a bad guess. So a little kick on that. We're going to start folding up the heat exchange. This is the outside wall. Being a lot thinner, it's going to need a bit more juice on the fold, obviously. Try that. More. This might be a bit much, but that's got it. Okay, the next part is the legs. Starting to get longer folds, and so I've swapped the tooling over to the 35mm V. So when I say 35mm V, that is the distance between that top edge and there. Basically, the wider the gap, the less pressure it takes to make the bend. Yeah, we're going to be pushing the capacity of this machine, but I'm pretty sure that, well, actually, according to our little chart here, 21 tonne over a metre. So we're actually well and truly within the capacity using the 35mm V. 25 tonne press, 21 tonne to fold it, and this is a lot less than a metre. I've already set the backstop. Now we just got to work out what 90 is. And that ain't it. Wow, it's a beautiful straight fold. Looks kind of nice. It's not 90, but this doesn't have to be 90, it's just legged. A little bit of slant would be stylish. Oh yeah. One hit, and that looks really quite nice. All right, let's do the next one. Yeah. I love this machine. Line that up. Do it the old-fashioned way. Look at that. Legs. I'm just lining that feature up with the center of that. Now, That's not going to be perfectly where it needs to be, but for what this is and what it's doing, it's just a really repeatable thing to do. There we go. Yes, there is a front and a back. Thanks. And the holes, I mean, I couldn't help myself. Welcome to my milling machine. Alrighty, what speed are we on? Just gonna countersink it all first. Now I'm going to install a tapping chuck. There we go. That goes in there. I probably should have attached these two together. If you've got a lot of holes to tap, this thing is pure luxury. Now this is an auto-reversing tapping head as well, tapping chuck, which means I'll just pull down when I'm happy that I've gotten all the way through. When I reverse back and this pulls down, that engages reverse, and the tap will automatically come out. Ay, ay, ay. I wasn't paying attention then. Yeah, that was embarrassing. Anyway, you can still totally destroy taps with this machine. A little bit of... I think that's all the drilling and tapping done. Yeah, this is going to be bolted to the side of the stove, and the slots and the spaces basically mean that this part isn't rigidly attached, because this is going to have cold fluid in it, water. It's not going to expand at the same thermal rate. I don't even know if that's all right. These roosters. Yeah, so I don't know if I've explained this well. So I've got some stainless steel pipe. That is perfect. What's the internal like? Perfect. Okay. Let's start with 4 and see how we went. Okay, these were a bigger to clean up, and spacer goes in there, and the spacer is just proud of that material, so that when I do this up tight, when I do that up, that's just finger tight, but there's a slightest bit of clearance, so that it's pushing it, yeah, it's holding it against the surface, but there is movement for things to expand and contract underneath each other, so that everything should just work. But the big reason why I wanted to do this now is I knew I didn't have the right size bolts, and I don't want that in the fire chamber just getting super hot, because that's just going to make it probably, the bolt will probably come loose, just, you know, being superheated compared to everything else around it. So I'm going to get all the bolts in place, and I'm going to lop those off so that there's nothing protruding in the path of the fire. Ah, the plastic's still on. When the plastic's taken off, I reckon that'll be fine. Yeah. I nearly did all 4 without scoring into it, but we won't talk about that. Finally gotten to the end. Pretty happy with that. It's not my prettiest work, but it's adequate for what we need to do. I'll give that a proper water test later. Okay, we're over at the clean area, and we're just going to TIG weld this stainless steel hinge onto this metal stove. And I know that sounds like a bit of a no-no, but if you use 309L filler wire, it can be done. In fact, that's what this was designed to do, 309 filler wire. So I'm just going to get that lined up. Just drop it in. And I've got this as a removable pin because, well, if you wanted to put like a, I don't know, a wood pellet hopper on this, you know, you'll want to be able to remove this. Then and even use these features to help hold that in. But if I was going to make a wood pellet hopper, it would probably just sit on it. Anyway, get that looking straight and even, something like that. It's kind of late, and although I've tested this stove, you haven't seen that, so we need to do that before I have to ship this thing off tomorrow. So tonight's a late one for me. Now, the purpose of this is to get the air going in the right direction. I'm just going to poke that in there. It's not drawing crazy, but we're already heading in the right direction. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is its favourite position from what I've discovered. The top shut and the door sitting just like that. And the nice thing about this hole is that in a way it's actually a really good gauge for not putting too big a wood in. If the piece of timber won't fit through this hole, it's too big. If it slides through beautifully, you are in this stove's happy place. To simulate the flue pipe that it's going to be hooked up to, I've got the old riser from the first stove hooked up there. And unfortunately, there's no way I can get up there and see what's going on. But this does sound very happy. This is a really big stove, and it takes maybe 15 minutes to get up to a running temperature. I mean, we're running happily now, but as far as being able to cook on it is concerned, it's just, there's a lot of metal that needs to heat up before that sort of starts to work. Got a much nicer teapot to try tonight. This one actually pours. Yes, I'm having Chinese for dinner. It's a Friday night and, you know, it's nice to have a treat. From cold, that took 11 minutes to start to boil. It's good. I was able to get it to draw smoke in through this crack before, so that's a good sign that we are pulling some air in to help with a secondary burn. It's good. Ooh. It's not producing crazy heat up top, which I kind of knew that would be the case. The larger surfaces on the sides are what's radiating most of the heat, but it wants to be a space heater as well as a cooktop, as well as a water heater, and it's going to do the water heating and the space heater really well. Cooktop, yeah, I think maybe a side skirt going along to direct some of that heat up to this cooking plate probably wouldn't be a bad idea. That might be an upgrade, but otherwise, you know, it's doing it. Sadly, I don't have the time to test the water heater side of things. These two stoves are going tomorrow morning down to New South Wales to the guy who needs them, and he's on a tight time frame, and it's just, that's how it's worked out. But I will make a second one so I can test the water heater and see how good it is, because I reckon it'll be absolutely fantastic. That sidewall is producing so much heat. We're going to get crazy, really good heat transfer into that container. So, you know, unfortunately we won't see that this time, but I'm afraid that just with the schedule that I have to keep to, that's just how it's working out this time. But it burns clean, it doesn't use a crazy amount of fuel, and you can cook on it, and by golly, it's nice and warm to sit around. So I feel like it's a really good starting place, good starting point. And yeah, I'll be keen to hear what you guys have to say. If you've got any ideas or suggestions, by all means leave them down in the comments. But otherwise, thank you for watching. This has been a longer one. So yeah, sorry about that. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.